Now, Governor Gilmore, I spoke to him earlier. We did an interview. He said you should not wage war on ISIS because it's not a state. We shouldn't be treating it like that.
Well, he sounds like Barack Obama. That's what Barack Obama says. You shouldn't wage war because they're not a state. Did Governor Gilmore call them ISIS?
Yeah.
You know what ISIS means? Islamic State.
Right.
So he just called them a state and says we shouldn't refer to them as a state. So the reality is that if we don't understand that the key to defeating ISIS is to take back their land, which means we must wage war and defeat them and take territory back to delegitimize them in the Muslim world. Again, it's the folly of not understanding the nature of the enemy. If you don't understand the nature of the enemy, you're not going to be successful. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for saying hi.
So you're saying if you don't understand the enemy...
If you don't understand that in Islamic law, one of the keys to determining whether a caliphate is legitimate is to whether they maintain territorial integrity. And so if you don't treat them as a state and defeat them as a state, take them out and take their land, then we perpetuate ISIS as a legitimate caliphate.
So if you were president now, you would wage war, you would go forth with an authorization for military force through Congress?
We have about 4,000 troops in the region. We need probably several thousand more, and we need those who can work in concert with the Kurds, with the Iraqi Sunnis, to join them in their battle, in their formations, to provide the eyes, the ears, the leadership that's necessary. We've done this before. It's been very successful. I've talked to dozens of fighters who've come back from the war, and they've told me, look, the Iraqis will fight if they have the necessary support from the United States, but if they don't, they won't, because they know they can't win. But if they have the eyes, the ears, the support, the tactics that comes with the technology and the leadership and the training of our troops, then if they're well led, they're gonna do their job. Excuse me.
And last question, what do you say to critics who argue we should not be going back to Iraq? We went through the first phase with the original war. It doesn't make sense to go back.
We abandoned Iraq. If you're a Sunni and we made a deal with you in the Anbar Awakening and said we're going to fight with you, we're going to take back this territory from Al-Qaeda, and we're going to be here to make sure that the Shiites in Baghdad treat you well, and that you have support from us to make sure that you're safe and that you can reclaim your towns and villages and be prosperous again. And then a few years later we leave, knowing full well by leaving radical elements that they just fought are going to rise up and kill them, and that the Shiite government is not going to stand with them. And thus became the birth of ISIS. Now, we're going to have to go back, and if we're going to defeat ISIS, we're going to have to go to those same people that we've abandoned once, and convince them we're not going to do it again. It's a hard job. It's not a job that I think very many people will be able to be successful. I think I will be, because we've got a record that everybody knows my commitment to making sure that we defeat these radicals and stand by the Muslims in the region who want to regain their territory for a more peaceful version of Islam.